Hello everyone, this is Griffin, artist for Psychospectacle, and welcome to our weekly Ardomanian lesson. Now you might be asking yourselves, what is Ardomanian? Ardomanian is a fictitious language created for our upcoming game Quill. It is the predominant language spoken in the continent, country, and city of Ardoman, and will be seen quite frequently throughout the game. Now, why might you want to learn Ardomanian? Well, we plan to use, as I said, we plan to use Ardomanian frequently. We're going to be hiding some goodies in the game for you. And, you know, I feel like it would add a lot to the overall atmosphere of the game. That is why I created Ardomanian and many of the other languages for Quill. I'm really trying to make the world of Quill feel like a world of its own. Just to be as detailed and as in-depth of a world as it can possibly be. Now, to start off, we shall be discussing the alphabet for Ardomanian. No, not to start off yet. We're going to discuss a few names that that Ardomanian will be referenced as in the game. In Ardomanian, in the country of Ardoman, there are three names for their language. One very formal, one less formal, and one very technical. Your very first one, if I can get my pen working. There we go. The first one, and the one you'll see most often, is Ardomani, spelt like so. Ardomani. The second and more informal and shorter and way easier way of saying it, Ardo. Get my O in there. That's a terrible O. Oh no! Erasers don't do that. There we go. Sorry, getting picky. Gotta fix that. And the third and the more technical term for the language, Ardovirdi. Ardovirdi. Now, you might be questioning, you know, the differences between them. Well, as I said, this one is just this one here is the official, this is the less formal kind of slang term for the language because it is a little long. And this one here, the reason I say technical is its literal translation within the world. You have Ardo, which hopefully soon explained by my partner Michael through some of his lore. He is the writer for Psychospectacle. Hopefully we'll be able to explain more about Ardo within the lore. It's like a province of a much larger civilization that is now fallen at the point in time Quill has begun. And then Virdi. This stands for Virdinian or Virdine, which would be that civilization that ruled over the province of Ardo. And Ardovirdi is just a very literal way of saying Ardovirdine. It's a now it's more of a language of its own in the modern Quill world, but at the time the language was first created, this is more of a dialect of a very ancient language. That eraser is very terrible. Let's get a bigger one. Let's try this. There we go, much better. Erase is nice and fast too. I've done this episode already, and it liked to take its time erasing. You don't do these on gigantic image files. Don't do a 7x11. It'll just tear everything apart. That was very unintelligent of me. Anyway, now let's move on to more of the actual lesson. Let me get my physical notes out. There we go. Today we're going to be talking about, in depth, the alphabet. What better way to start learning any language than to learn its alphabet? Now, before I actually list out all of the consonants and vowels in their order, I want to first focus on the vowels themselves. They all look very similar, and it's very important to be able to distinguish them from each other. when reading Ardomanian. In Ardomanian, you have 5 vowels. You have I, E, A, U, and O. That's the only way you will ever hear them said. There is no other way to pronounce those vowels if you see them in a sentence. And you will never see one vowel standing next to another. There's no such thing as like ya there's no ya sound. There's no u sound. That's actually kind of, oh, this one's pretty bad to write. There's no wo sound. There's no w sounds or y sounds in Ardomanian. There's just, when it comes to vowel sounds, there are just these 5 sounds. And there's no, I'm trying to think, I guess, never mind. I was going to say something, but never mind. It doesn't apply anyway. I was trying to say more stuff about vowels, but I feel like if I would have said it, it made me look a little goofy. Anyway, let's go on to the actual alphabet part. Consonants and vowels applied. Oh. Never mind. Forgot about names. No, we'll just do this now. We're all relaxed here in Psychospectacle, as you can see. We're a very relaxed organization. We're the chill indie, well, I guess most indie teams are pretty chill. Anyway, time to discuss the alphabet. Your very first one in the alphabet is the E sound, and it is pronounced Ima. That is its formal name. And there's its English. I'll be writing the symbol for the, it looks a lot like an I, but this is not an English I. This is an Ardomanian I. I'll be writing the Ardomanian symbol, its name in Ardomanian, and then the English equivalent, or the English, yeah, the English equivalent. I don't know all the pronunciation. I can't think of what it's called, but they have like a big list of symbols for pronunciation that I don't know, and I don't know if you guys know, so I'm not going to use them. But I will just use the letters that they're equivalent to in English. Anyway, the next one in the alphabet, that is not what I intended to write. There we go. Lieri, which is the L of Ardomanian. Lieri. Following Lieri is Preri, the P of Ardomanian. And something I'd like to point out, well, I can point it out in this next letter. Roni, the R of Ardomanian. I'm kind of making these a little squat. It should be more tall like that, the R. R, L, P, I. Some of the L, the R, very tall. P kind of hangs underneath like a Q would in English, or a G or a Y. Anyway, to talk about the R. The R sound in Ardomanian does not sound like an R in English. It's more close to like a Spanish R, but not rolled. Think of like flicking your tongue off the top of the palate of your mouth, like da, da. Something one of my teachers used to teach me. Something I learned from one of my teachers was say the phrase pot of tea really fast. Pot of tea, pot of tea, pot of tea, pot of tea. And where your tongue hits on the roof of your mouth on your upper palate, that's where your tongue should be going to make an R in Ardomanian. And I guess in Spanish as well, because that was the class I learned that for. Anyway, moving on. Our next letter, A. And this one is known as Ema, and it is the E of Ardomanian. Ema. Following Ema are N, Nosle. Now this one is a little more hard to distinguish. I'm going to write this above it. And you'll know why in a second. Actually, no, that would not be right. Do like a line there. Nosle is a little hard to distinguish from its counterpart, N, by the way. Its M friend over here Mosle. Mosele. Sorry. Nosele. Mosele. Kind of screwed up on my writing there. My brush is a little huge, so getting good with my writing. No. Writing easily words. I'm having trouble writing. Mosele. There we go. The brush is a little too large. I guess I should shrink it, but I kind of like the aesthetic of what I'm getting out of it. I don't know. Anyway, I'm running off on a tangent. Nosele, Mosele. They're both kind of hard to distinguish from each other. They're both circles. Now, how can you? Well, imagine there is like a little imaginary line underneath your word. Nosele. You can notice that the N sits on top of the line. Here's another one. Mosele. The M sits underneath. When encountering these, the N will be in line with anything, above that imaginary line. The M will be in line with anything underneath that imaginary line. And that's how you can distinguish the two from each other. Anyway, next one. We have got, if I can find out where my hand is, you've got your G. Gere. This one, it's another tall one. It should be the same size as the L, same size as the R, same size as the S. All of these should be the same size. Anything else should be like half the size. Kind of like in English. Let's shrink this down. We're running out of room. Oh, can I get my hands over here without messing everything up? There we go. Let's move that up here, so you can still see it. There you go. Alright. Next one. Next set. And I say set, and I'll discuss this at the end. They are kind of in sets. Sets of 4, to be precise. The letters of the Ardomanian alphabet. And you can probably distinguish the pattern by now, but I will discuss it at the end. Try not to get off on a tangent like I usually do. Like this one sounds... The majority of the vowels sound the same. The only one that's kind of different is the A, but this one, U, is Uma. The U. That's a terrible U. There we go. Ima, Ema, Uma. I bet you can guess the O. Following Uma is the S. Sesu. The S. Sesu. Next. Veru. This should be a U. Veru. Like a V. And then, a lot like Veru. Xu. That is a... Whoa. Let's try that again. My hands are crazy today. Xu. This is the X. Now, as you can see, the X is a very close resemblance to the V. However, it looks more like an X, and this one looks more like a V, if that helps you distinguish them from each other. Okay, next one, after Xu. You have your O, Oma, O, Oma. And then our last 3 consonants in the Ardomanian language before the, no! The pen! Ah! There we go. Before the final letter, which is the vowel A. They all look very alike. We have 3 of them. They all look very alike. Here we have tanto, which is the T. We have drero, which is the D. And then we have falto, which is the F. Now, the way you can distinguish these from each other, it's just how many markings there are. Derecho has 1, falto has 2, and tanto has none. Alright, and your very last one in the alphabet, A. This is agma, and is your A sound or your A sound. Now, something you might have noticed, and I said I'd point this out earlier, if I can... Oh, the rectangular brush tool's fighting me. There we go. Everything is done, or all the letters are done in sets of 4, excluding agma. You have a set of 4 E letters, 4 A letters, 4 U letters, 4 O letters, and then you end with A. Very simple to categorize. E, A, U, O. 4 sets. And there are actually, I believe, less letters in, well, if you can multiply 4 by... If you multiply 4 by 4 and then add 1 to that, that should be 17. So yes, there are in fact less letters than in the English Romanesque alphabet, and there are less sounds in Ardomanian than in English in particular. As I said earlier, there are no ya sounds, there are no w sounds. There are also no shs or chs or js. Or there's also no z, no z. So Ardomanian lacks a lot of the sounds that those do. There are dialects of Ardomanian, particularly in the south of Ardaman, that do include more of those sounds. They're more like they're more slurred values, or not values, more slurred. What was I trying to say? More more slurred consonants. I don't know how I got values out of that. But like where we have we're in Classic, I guess, I don't know. In Northern Ardomanian, the S sound is like a hard S. It's S. But in Southern Ardomanian, it's sh. It's just sh. And they incorporate a lot of other sounds, such as like the G, gere over here. It's not like a g in Southern Ardomanian. It's like a ch or a j. Kind of in between those two, ch, but not g. It's not hard. A lot of the consonants in Southern Ardomanian are very slurred, and not as hard as the ones in Northern Ardomanian. However, we are not really going to be covering those dialects, because you can pretty much, if you understand Northern Ardomanian, when you reach parts of the game that are in Southern Ardaman, it's not too hard to distinguish the two dialects. You just have to get used to the pronunciation. Anyway, though, this has been our first Ardomanian lesson. I hope you guys have learned something useful from it, and I hope you guys retain this, because I'm gonna be having fun as we make the game over here, incorporating a lot of little, not even just little secrets. We're gonna have some serious lore going on. You know, it'll be pretty useful to know a little Ardomanian. I appreciate it very much that you guys came along and sat through me yammering about. And I'd just like to say thank you all for watching. And be sure to follow us on Twitter, Tixoris, NGDB, anywhere. You know, have a good day. Thank you very much, and I should see you next week. Goodbye.